General Fenton, I want to continue down that line of questioning from Senator Blumenthal about this cuts to Army Special Operations Forces, about the logic behind it in particular, which I think may be faulty. You testified to the House recently that the Army's proposed cuts to Special Operations Forces are occurring, and this is your quote, against the backdrop of ever-increasing demands from our combatant commands. And then Admiral Aquilino from PACOM testified that special operations in PACOM are critically important for training our partners and increasing combat capability. So it sounds like both of you are making the point that special operations forces play a very important role, not just in fighting and winning a war, but in deterring conflict, both in the Pacific and around the world. Is that correct?
Senator, that's absolutely correct. We see those demands as not only and not even just the Indo-PACOM commander. I think others in testimony throughout the last couple of months have made the same.
Because one justification for these cuts coming from the Secretary of the Army is that special operators are supposedly less important right of boom. To put that in English, boom is when shooting war starts, people start returning fire. Left of boom then would be leading up to any kind of conflict. In that space that you just talked about, aren't special operators in contact with U.S. partners and in some cases the enemy almost every day left of boom, so to speak? And why is that contact important? Could you explain a little bit more?
I can't, Senator. I'll start by saying that SOF and SOCOM have a very important part to play for almost 8 decades, starting right at World War II and then coming forward in not only in boom, in conflict, high-end high-end operations, but in particular where our value, my estimation, is the highest, is left of that, preventing it, preventing conflict, as our NDS and many other documents direct us to do. I think our skill sets are perfectly apportioned for that. Frankly, it's our DNA. If, while we're out there, there's a potential for the rough edges of a conflict, we're also preparing the environment, developing different ways of doing business for our combatant commands that present challenges and dilemmas to any adversary. So there's a whole bunch of value left of a conflict. SOF has got value in conflict as well, and then I would just offer, Senator, additionally in a protraction. Both know that no conflict is 30 days or 40 days. Those things protract, and I think SOF's got value there as well.
Let's be even more concrete. Let's look at a specific case study with Ukraine. After the first invasion of Ukraine in 2014, our Army Special Operations Forces, U.S. Special Operators more generally, were in routine contact with Ukraine. Can you explain the payoff that I guess in this case it was both post-conflict and pre-conflict, post-2014 invasion, pre-2022 invasion, and the dividends it paid when Russia invaded in 2022 for that 8-year period?
I can't, Senator. I'll try to make it quick. I'll wind it back just a tad. Our contact with Ukrainian military started in 1994 by Special Operations, maybe when no one else was looking, but Special Ops was. And our ability to be with the Ukrainian military since 1994, and in particular Bill SOF, did a couple things. It built a non-commissioned officer corps. I think you and the committee here know better than anybody. That is the incredible value proposition our whole military brings across the world. They didn't have that. We changed them from a Soviet-style anything into a more Western-based approach military, specifically in special ops. I think all that came together on the second, certainly after 2014, but on the second invasion in 2022, when we knew that the Russian Federation understood how important Ukrainian SOF was, when a couple of the first targets during their attacks had Ukrainian SOF implications. I think that continues. And I think that in many ways almost looks like a mutual fund. Small investments over time with a high payoff when called upon that continue to grow. And I think I don't see that just in Ukraine. I've seen that in Colombia during Plan Colombia when U.S. SOF was there in support of Southcom, doing what we did with Colombian SOF and Colombian military. I've seen it many other places. But I think there's a high value left of conflict that certainly SOF plays part of.
Okay. Mr. Maier, in the time I have remaining, I've got to ask you a question. I'm kind of surprised it hasn't come up, frankly, in the last 2 hours. It's the matter of Ariane Tabatabai, your chief of staff. So she was allegedly part of an Iranian foreign ministry information operation. She used to work for Rob Malley, a well-known Iran sympathizer who's had his security clearance revoked by the State Department is under investigation. That's all we know because the State Department has stonewalled us on this. When we raised concerns about Ms. Tabatabai last fall, the Department of Defense assured us that protocols were followed. We don't have any more information about it. I mean, I'm sure protocols were followed for Aldrich James and Robert Hansen as well. I think it's a basic function of our oversight responsibility for us to have more information about Ms. Tabatabai and how someone with these ties to a well-known Iranian influence operation ended up working for you. Now, I almost want to express my regret to you personally because I don't think you hired her. I think she was hired into your office. So I don't think you're the person that made these decisions, but she is working for you in your office, and we haven't heard much about it at all since we inquired in the fall. So I have to ask you, what's the status of Ms. Tabatabai, and how can we be confident that even if protocols were followed, they got the right decision made, given Mr. Malley's status of still being suspended and having his clearance revoked?
So Senator Cotton, Ms. Tabatabai still is employed in my office. She is part, like all the other civilians, military, contractors in the department, subject to continuous vetting that's done by the Defense Counterintelligence and Security Agency. That's about all that I can provide you in this forum, and that's what I've been provided by the folks that are really responsible for security in our department, sir.
Can you provide us more in another forum, like maybe the closed one we have coming up?
I can provide a bit more, sir, yes.
All right, I'll see you there.